Good afternoon and welcome back to the MCC live stream series. This is now series 3 and we're going to be talking this time around about Apple Teacher, which is a great free resource online provided by Apple. And my good friend here, David Kirtland, is going to take us through the Apple Teacher program over the course of the next 8 sessions. So let's get our introductions done first of all. So yes, my name is Richard Child. I'm the Education Manager at MCC Digital. We're an Apple authorized education specialist helping schools with iPads, Apple technologies and all sorts of other technologies around the country. And with me, as always, is Mr. David Kirtland. David is an Apple Professional Learning Specialist and as co-presented, or no, not co-presented, starred in all of the past webinar series that we've done around Everyone Can Create and Everyone Can Code, 2 fantastic programs. Go have a look at our YouTube channel and dig into the archives. They're all there to share. And in each one of those, we talked about Apple Teacher, but we're going to focus on Apple Teacher this time around. So David, tell us all about what is Apple Teacher?
Okay, great. So Apple Teacher is a lovely set of resources that Apple give to us, and there's lots of CPD content in there that we can use for ourselves, but also across staff teams within a school. But alongside that, there's all sorts of ongoing updated bits and pieces that are really useful to know about. So let's jump in and have a quick look. So I'm going to the website, and Richard will give you a nice little QR code at the end of this where you can just scan it and take you straight to it. But the address that we're at here is appleteacher.apple.com. And if you go to this website, you can sign in with your Apple ID. It will go through a couple of steps to just see what level you teach and so on, but it really is just your Apple ID and your password that you need to get started with this. And once you're in, it takes you to this page here, which is the Apple Teacher Learning Center. And this really splits into 2 main areas. Part of it is about a little badge system where we can develop our skills and our knowledge and understanding, and then we can take a quiz and just get a little stamp to say that actually we've reached this level of knowledge about the main things that we might use on an iPad in schools. But alongside that are lots of other resources that we can access, and these are forever being updated, and it's always worth coming back to see what's here now because there's some really useful content in there. So before we go on and have a look at the badges and see how we might earn some of those accreditations, let's just explore some of the resources that are on the Learning Center. So along the top, we have this banner that scrolls along the top, and this gets updated with the headline content fairly regularly. And I mean, we can see at the moment, there's a new one there in the middle for support for remote learning, which is something that we're all right in the middle of at the moment. So if we tap on there, it takes us to some resources that Apple have given us. And if we have a look and scroll down, it gives this nice little overview video. These are nice things to share with different teams around schools as we go in anyway. But we get a couple of things here. There's even a quick guide here for parents, and there's a guide for setting up school devices. So if you're new to using iPads in school because of part of the pressures of lockdown and all the things that have been going on around remote learning, there's some quick start guides here for maybe the IT managers or the IT staff in the school. If we have a look at the quick guide for parents, it gives us a few little tips and things that we can be talking to parents who are maybe needing to manage how much screen time the children are spending on their devices at home, or how they're telling stories and so on. Let's have a look. We scroll down. You can download these guides so you can distribute these as you like, but we get these nice little cards here. Let's have a look at the 5 tips for managing screen time. So they're nice, simply presented little bits of ideas here. This one's introducing the whole idea of the screen time options, where we get these graphs to show us the usage of the iPad. So maybe as a parent, we can kind of jump in there and see exactly what the children have been doing on the iPads. But it just gives us that as a starting point to maybe have those conversations with different parents. So let's go back to that headline banner. So back to the top of the screen there. And we've got this scrolling banner here. So we've just had a quick look at the support for remote learning. Now we can see we've got some other bits and pieces here. We've got learning resources for teachers. And again, we get lots of content here now taking us through some of the things that we might start using the iPads for in school. And it talks about these skills that we're looking at. We're going to focus on skills for iPad over the next few sessions, but there is also the other side of this, which is skills for Mac. And it takes us through some of the things that we might want to do once we've gone a bit further. It links us to the Everyone Can Create set of resources. Now, that's way back in series 1 when we spent quite a lot of time looking at the content there, but this is taking all those ideas and there's just presenting it for us there for us quite nicely. Likewise, we've got a link there back to the Everyone Can Code resources that we looked at in series 2. But we've got some new ideas here. We've got creative ideas for the classroom. We've got a little bit on using Apple Classroom and schoolwork here, meeting our new teaching assistant. So this is how we can remotely see what the children are doing and submitting work and so on. And we've got a few of the little case studies. It even links to the Apple education community. So if you are on Twitter, there's the Twitter handle that you can join in those conversations with people like myself around the country with the @AppleEdu hashtag there. Let's go back. Now, a couple of things that are really nice along this top banner here. We've got 30 time-saving tips for teachers, and there's some great ideas. In the final session of this series, we're going to dig into these in a lot more detail, but let's have a quick look now. And just like those tips for parents, we can download these interactive guides, and we get these cards of just quick and simple tips helping us maybe manage our time, maybe do something on the iPads that we hadn't realized we could do. And there's a few really nice ones on here. Let's have a look at a couple here. We've got number 7's a nice favorite here. Let's have a look. Create a PDF of a web page in Safari. So maybe you're starting to develop resources, collect all your resources together to work with children remotely at the moment, and you want to send them a nice web page resource that you found. Maybe just sending the link isn't quite working, but any web page that we've got here, we do have that share button in the top corner. That's that square with the arrow coming out of it. And if I tap there, we get our usual share options. I can add it to an email. I could put it into Shobi or Google Classroom or whichever I'm using there. But we do have the markup option a little bit further down. And if I tap markup, I can now annotate the web page. So I can highlight the bits that we want to have a look at. I don't have to annotate it, but I can do. And this is now made a PDF of that website. And I can use my share button again to stick it straight into schoolwork, classroom, Shobi, whichever my favorite is at the moment. Or I could just press done over in the top left-hand corner and save that document, that PDF, to my files on my iPad for me to distribute to whoever I need to share this with. It's just a really quick, simple way of creating simple resources. What else have we got on here? Number 19 is another favorite one. Digitize handouts, another one that's really useful with this remote learning. So maybe I've got lots of paper-based resources and I need to distribute those to children who are learning at home at the moment. This is just pointing out that we do have the built-in scanner in the iPad. So it's similar to taking photographs of the document, but it automatically squares it off. It corrects any distortion in shapes if we've not had the angles quite flat when we've taken photos of the paper, but it's much quicker really because it does all that for you rather than having to crop it and sort it out later. And it's just showing you here that this is built into the Notes app. And in fact, actually, it's built into the Files app as well now. So you can scan it straight into your files. You've got it there as your resources to share with anyone else that you might want to. What else have we got on here? Oh, there's all sorts we can pick from here. Screen recording. If we've got this mixed scenario at the moment of some children at home and some children in front of us, we may want to just record the screen. So we record the lessons as well at the same time as delivering them live. So we've got them so the children can refer back to it later on, or we can distribute it. Just telling us how to use that control center, how to turn on that screen recording buttons, how to add sound. That's one of those common questions. How do you record a screen recording, but with my voiceover as well? So it's just giving us all those little hints and tips that we'll look at in a bit more detail at the end of this series. So those are the tips for teachers. In a similar way, we've also got this one here. This one's 30 more creative activities. This is the second set, actually. There was an original 30 creative activities, which you'll find as you dig through the resources here. And I think the first ones actually are aimed at slightly younger children. This one's aimed at slightly older children. But let's have a quick look. And just like those resources for teachers, these are creative ideas, little tasks, and most of them are fairly short, but you can develop these out with your own ideas, take them a little bit further and expand them however you like, just to develop some of the skills that we might have learned through Everyone Can Create. So practicing some of those resources with making video, with making animations, with playing around with GarageBand and making music, all those types of things. Well, what are we actually going to do with those in the classroom? And again, we've got this activity guide, we can download it, but here's all these cards. So we might want to have a look at a few of these. What have we got? Number 9 is always a nice one with the children. This one's the brand of you. So this one's exploring our keynote skills, saying, actually, can we get the children to think about who they are as an individual? What type of things do they like? What are their favorite animals, their favorite colors, their hobbies? What do they do when they're not in school? And can we create that into a bit of a logo that represents something about them, giving them that individual approach, really? So that's a nice one to start with. What else have we got on here? There's a lovely one at the end, which is quite timely, really. Thank a helper, or thank a key worker, we might say here, but creating little thank you cards for people who might have helped out during the lockdown. So exploring something that people tend to miss over. This is looking at the templates in Pages and how we can adapt those to something a bit more personalized. So just trying to get the children to have that community spirit there, thinking how they can use some of these resources and just exploring their creativity a little bit further. But like we say, there's 30 resources there, 30 ideas. There's a previous set of 30 as well. So you've got 60 there to start playing with. You could set these for the children to do in between sessions. You could do them as a group while you're all on your online classroom, or use them however you like. There's just some really useful ideas. There's one more that's really nice at the moment, enhanced learning with augmented reality. So this is just a starting point. Maybe you want to think about how you can use augmented reality in the classroom. And this is just giving you a few little introductions of the type of things that we can do and kind of where it's heading, really, the sorts of things which we're starting to see appearing. And as I scroll down here, you can have a look at this in a bit more detail, but it does give you a starting point of some of the nice apps to have a look at. Things like the night sky. Just take the iPad outside and have a look at the sky and it will show you some of the different constellations. There's another favorite one there. AR Maker is lovely for getting the children thinking about a narrative and telling the story, but having an object that they can look around and start adding voiceovers. You can even record the output and put it into iMovie so you can add voiceovers and create all sorts of interesting things there. So just as a starting point, it also gives you this little book as well. So if you want to read a bit more about augmented reality in the classroom, have a look at this book. Just download it, have a read through, and there's some great little tips and ideas in there. So that's really this banner along the top that gives you all these headline bits of resources and things that we can start using in the classroom. Now, the other side of the Apple Teacher Learning Resource Center is this badge system. So this is the section here that says Learn and Earn. And there are actually 3 aspects to this. We've got Learn Skills for the iPad, which is what we're going to work through in this series. We've got the sister part of this, which is Learn Skills for the Mac. Now they're quite similar, but obviously those are using the same kind of apps, so GarageBand, iMovie, Pages, etc. on the Mac. And then we also have some extra badges there around Swift Playgrounds and developing our knowledge of the computing curriculum and coding. So in this series, we're focusing on Learn Skills for the iPad. So let's have a quick look. And when we go in there, it gives us an overview of the different badges. Now, there are 6 badges, and we're going to start in the second session here with the iPad badge. And then we're going to follow that on with one of these badges for each of the main apps. So we've got a badge for Pages. We've got a badge for Keynote. We've got a badge for Numbers, iMovie, and the final badge there is for GarageBand. Now, let's go up to the top one here. Let's have a look at the iPad badge. And it gives us these icons. And these are the main areas that are covered within each badge. So if we're looking at this thinking, well, I'm okay with using the iPad. I know what the home screen is, but I'm not too sure on something like maybe the control center. We can tap on it here, and it gives us a little bit of information about the control center. We can see all those other elements now along the top of the screen, so we can start working through this. It's kind of like a self-managed CPD program. And if we have a look, we've got my own virtual iPad on the screen, and it's showing me the control center. It's that area there if we swipe down in the top right-hand corner and we get some of these controls. And underneath the screen, it just tells me something about the control center. So in this case, it's telling me how to access the control center. And I can tap the arrow to the side, and it gives me a bit more information. It's talking now about the screen brightness. And again, it's now looking at how we can quickly set a timer straight from the top corner of the iPad. And we've got a few other options on there. And there's only 4 or 5 steps to each of these elements. And if we're happy with using the control center, now we've done all those steps, maybe we want to find out a bit more about multitasking, for example. And again, we do exactly the same. We've got our own little virtual iPad with all those steps just telling us what we're doing. And it's really nice and clear and simple, and it's all self-paced. Now, this is great for us as individuals to think we can develop our general skills and pick on things that we might need to develop a bit more of a knowledge and understanding of. But thinking about a whole school approach, if we work through this as a staff team, this is a really great way of stepping up our knowledge as a whole group of staff now, so that everyone has the same level of confidence across a range of apps on the iPad. And it can be a really useful way of scaffolding a CPD program, maybe a twilight session after school, maybe every 3 weeks, something like that, as we get back into the swing of things in school. So there's lots of really useful tips and lots of knowledge on there. Now, I'm still looking at the aspects of the iPad badge. As we get towards the end of it, there's a final one there that says earn your badge. And once we're happy with it, maybe we've practiced some of these, maybe we've used these in a classroom once we've got children back there and we can try some of these things out, we can have a go at earning the badge. And this is where we do the little online quiz. And if we pass that, we get that badge to add to our set of 6. Now, these are not exams, they're not tests, they're nice and informal. All it is a set of 5 questions. You only have to get 4 out of the 5 to pass the badge. All of these are either multiple choice or it's a set of steps to achieve something on the iPad, and it's just about putting those into the right order so that it works. If you don't pass the badge, you just have another go. It will be a different set of questions, but you just have another go at taking it again. And if you don't pass it the second time, have another go there. But maybe in the middle, come back to these resources and just check some of these things over, review a few of them, and then have another go. You can have us go as many times as you like until you do pass this. It's all about developing that knowledge, that confidence and the skills so that you can use this in the classroom. And there's some really useful stages in working with that and practicing this in the classroom. It kind of wraps it all up in why are we doing this and what would we do when the children are there looking at us. So really, that's kind of it really at this stage. That's just what the Apple Teacher Learning Center is. And those are the resources that we have. Those are the things that we can keep looking at to give us our ideas and how we might use these. And there's the Learn and Earn section that we're going to work through in the next few sessions over the next few weeks. Okay.
Excellent. Thank you so much, David. And there's just so much to explore there, isn't there? And I think it really does illustrate that using an iPad in the classroom is way more than a device. And, what this Apple Teacher Resource Center does is sort of put all of those resources into one place, which is fantastic. So, yes, we will be, over the course of the next series of videos, we'll be working through the iPad badge. But, David, you've done an amazing job there of telling us what else is available on there. And, some of those time-saving tips for teachers, I can just imagine, I can just picture those being printed out and put on staff room walls. I certainly know of one school at least where pupils are encouraged to take the Apple Teacher badges as well. Yeah, anybody, it's open and free to anybody. And I think, the last point, beautiful, as Apple always do. They've laid it out really simply. Love those graphics, and it's just easy on the eye, isn't it? It's easy to work through these modules, as we'll find out when we sort of delve into the next level. Absolutely fantastic, and all free or all included. So amazing set of resources there. So next slide is a link to Apple Teacher. So you can, of course, just Google it or search for it on your search engine of choice. But if you want to zap the QR codes with your device cameras, then that will take you to the upper one, which is the overview page. And then the all-important sign-up page, which is the lower address on the page there. Sign in with your Apple ID. So if you've got one of those already, just use that. So that's your iTunes account, your Apple TV account, all sorts of reasons now to have an Apple ID. And if you don't have one, then very easy to create one and get cracking and get access to all these great resources. Other ways that we can help you. So, if you're a school with ambition for iPad, if you've got more than a couple of class sets, perhaps, or plans to roll out iPad, then we have a fantastic workshop for you called Apple Planning Essentials. And what this does is we can do this virtually, or we can visit your school, and we look at all of the elements that make a successful rollout of technology in a learning environment. So we consider vision and strategy, we consider learning, we consider teaching, and the environment. The environment being the technical infrastructure, your network environment, how you manage devices. We basically, pretty much cover everything as part of this workshop process. We'll build a plan for your setting, and we'll integrate that with all of those four elements: the vision, the learning, the teaching, the environment. And if you would like us to do that, we don't charge for Apple Planning Essentials, then please do drop us a line at education@mccdigital.com, and we'd be happy to engage with you more about that. It's a fantastic process. At the end of it, if we click on David, please, then in the days when we could do this face to face, we would bring a 2-meter wide poster, and we would map out the different elements of the plan visually onto a chart. We can do that virtually with a super numbers file. But you'll see in the photo there a school in South Manchester. We were able to do the poster, and left them with their plan with timescales across there, and they are happily on their way to quite a large deployment in that setting, which will revolutionise how the children learn at school. So. Again, just contact us, drop us a line, education@mccdigital.com, and we will be happy to arrange one of those workshops with you. Now, we will be back in a couple of days' time with our first view of on our journey to the iPad badge, David. So what's the first item on the menu? What's our starter?
So the first one is the iPad overview badge. So that's just finding our way around the iPad, making sure we up to speed with all the terminology and the name for things and how we might start using those just quite quickly and easily. But I think we'll probably find some nice little tips for using it in the classroom along the way as well, of how we can just naturally go to these really quite quickly and use them day to day.
Excellent. Look forward to that. See you in a couple of days' time then. Thank you very much.
Great. Thank you.
Bye-bye.